It is Friday, February 7th, 2025. Welcome to another edition of Baseball Today. I am your host, Trevor Plouffe, and not Chris Rose beside me, but our good friend, Jolly Olive, joins us today. Producer Dan, obviously, along for the ride as well. Jolly, you are the consummate professional. Whenever we need someone to step up, you're always the guy. How you doing today, my big
I'm
fella?
good, man. I'm swell. Pete Alonso's back in New York. I had you talking about my wet dreams on talking baseball. No better way to start my day than talking shop with my guy Trevor Plouffe.
Yeah, I mean, it has been the last 2 years, I feel like, have really been Jolly's years. I mean, I think it started with the walk-off homer against John Boy, and then it's just, snowballed into what it is now. Look at this guy's got the gold chain popping, the hair going.
Man.
I totally get it. Chris Rose, for everybody who's wondering, hey, where's our guy at? He's doing football stuff. He's a man that wears many hats. So I'll give a first little tip of the cap to our guy, C. Rosie, because he's a hard worker. We love you. We miss you, big guy. But we will start with a true tip of the cap to my good buddy, another football guy, to start the day off on Baseball Today. It's my buddy Matthew's birthday. Matthew Stafford turns
Very nice.
37 today. We'll be hanging out. We're going on a little trip for the weekend. He's been in the news a lot, Jolly.
How
Malik
so?
Neighbors, your Giants receiver, has been saying
Mm,
he wants him and Cooper to come play quarterback. We'll see. I'm trying to keep him in LA, but I wanted to give a shout out to my big guy. Happy birthday to Matthew.
and that's Matthew Stafford, not Matt Stafford. Let that
Do
be
not
known.
call
Do
him
not
Matt.
call him Matt Stafford.
Future Giants QB? I don't know.
I don't think does he really want to do that to himself?
Let's bring it back to one of your other teams, Jolly,
Mm.
because this show is called Baseball Today. Pete Alonso stays with the Mets. I know you've talked about it on Shea Station. I've talked about this already on Talking Baseball, but he comes back to the Mets on what is essentially a one-year deal, $30 million this year. It can be a two-year deal. He does have the opt-out. I believe it gets up to 2 years, 54. That's what's guaranteed. The Mets have had a run of success. It coincides with Jolly Olive's, run of success really over the last couple of years. You can talk about Steve Cohen. You can talk about the run they went on last year with OMG and Francisco Lindor having a near MVP season. Juan Soto comes over. Pete Alonso comes. A plethora of other moves. Jolly, would you say that this Mets offseason is a home run?
Yeah, I think so. I think if I'm grading it, I'd give it like an A minus, and only that because there's a lot of great starting pitching available. The Mets didn't come away with Roki or Crochet, Burns or Freed, but outside of that, I thought that they had the best possible offseason that they could have. They started out really strong out the gate with a lot of signings. They brought back the dudes they needed to bring back, and Sean Manaea and guys like Ryan Stanek and Jesse Winker, who performed in the playoffs and meant a lot to the team. They didn't bid against themselves with Pete. They weathered the storm. They waited until the right time, got the deal that they wanted, and then of course Juan Soto on top of all that. If you're a Mets fan, or even if you're just a baseball fan who's appreciating what's going on with the Mets, there's no doubt in my mind that this is, of all the timelines, one of the best Mets off seasons we could have gotten.
I know you're very happy with it. We'll just run it down real quick. Juan Soto, we mentioned. Sean Manaea comes back on a 3-year deal. Clay Holmes gets a 3-year deal. They're going to try to have him be a starter. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Frankie Montas, 2 years. Griffin Canning, 1 year. They get Jose Siri from the Rays, then obviously re-signing Pete. So they went after everything except their bullpen, which is kind of interesting to me. I think they have some guys at the back end, but a little depth never hurt anybody. I guess Stanek counts. Okay,
Yeah,
so maybe I'm wrong there. But adding somebody like Tanner Scott, who's still available, would be very interesting to me if Steve was ready to just really push all the chips into the table. I would call it a home run. That's only if I'm calling the Dodgers offseason a grand slam. But I think the Mets have done incredibly well for what was going on. They wanted Juan Soto. They got Juan Soto. They wanted Pete, but at their own terms. They got Pete at their own terms. You mentioned the starting pitching and the question marks there. I think that's what everyone who hates the Mets points to. Hey, they got a bunch of question marks in that rotation. And I think that's a fair assessment. I really do. what are we going to get at Frankie Montas? What's Clay Holmes going to look like as a starter? Before the show, I said he's going to be throwing those sinkers up there. Mark Vientos better be ready to field some ground balls. I think he's going to be prepared. I've been following Swaggy V on social media. I see he's putting the work in, but he's going to get a ton of ground balls. So I think that's my most intriguing part of the Mets this year will be, what they can do with their starting pitching. And, I've said this before, but it bears repeating. We thought the same thing last year, and it ended up kind of being a strong suit for the Mets, especially at the end of the year when Manaea started going. So I too would grade this as a home run. I'm looking forward to seeing this product on the field, but I'll bring up the fact that I'm not so sure that the favorites in the division still, even with the home run offseason, right? This is going to be a bloodbath. And I mean, do you have them winning the division in your mind?
They should be in the thick of the race, that's for sure. But I mean, it's a lot of question marks with other teams too. Like, this is kind of the Phillies' last hurrah with this core. They got a lot of guys coming off the books after this year. Does that mean they play up? Does that mean they play down? Is there a world where the Phillies end up selling some of their pieces? I don't know. And then with the Braves, a lot of question marks with two of their best players, Ronald Acuna Jr. and Spencer Strider, coming off significant injuries. If they're back and playing like they were, then it's the Braves. But you can't say that with any certainty. They'll need guys to step up and bounce back, like Matt Olson, for example. So you can have this discussion with any of these teams, and you can have it with the Mets too about their rotation and the back end of their bullpen and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, there's three incredibly talented teams in the NL East, making that division so top heavy, probably the top heaviest in baseball, even more so than the NL West, in my opinion. And it's going to be, like you said, an absolute bloodbath. But all three of these teams are going to be in the picture deep into the season. If you're an outside fan, that's really exciting. If you're an NL East fan, it's really annoying because you could take any one of these teams, put them in the AL or NL Central, maybe even the AL West, and you could probably pick them as a division winner for sure.
Whoa, leave my AL Central alone.
What happened?
We'll get to the AL
I don't
Central.
understand. What happened?
Quick on this because I'm sick of talking Mets. Just kidding. Jose Iglesias, like, why not? He's still out there. Is he just going to say maybe he doesn't want to play? Maybe he wants to just travel the world and be a musician. I don't know, but it seems like they're trying to recreate the vibes, Charlie. They brought Winker back. They like that. Like, why not bring the guy that started the vibes, basically? Why not bring him back?
I'm a little bit in the middle of it of like, if he signed today, I'm extremely happy. But also, if he loves something, you got to let it go. Like, minor league signing last year and you got 3 WAR out of him. Like, you can't plan for that kind of thing. He was an insurance policy that they used, and it worked better than any insurance policy maybe in Major League history, with him playing as well as he did and then also fixing the vibe in the clubhouse. But I think that more than anything, Iglesias can exist kind of symbolically for the team of like, he's the guy that turned us around and like, this is who we are now kind of thing. But if you look at their depth chart, man, there's really no room for him. This team has so many infielders, a lot of young ones too that haven't really gotten a shot yet. I would be surprised if he came back, but I'd be happy if it happened.
One word answer, yes or no?
I'm going to say no.
Acuna, no.
Oh, sorry. I think we're Iglesias.
New question, Jolly. Just relax a little bit. Acuna ends up being the team's second baseman by the end of the year.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to believe in Jeff McNeil.
I'm going to say yes. I believe in – it's not that I don't believe in Jeff McNeil. I just think that I watch Acuna play, and I'm like, that's a ball player. I like that guy.
And they're excited about him.
Let's get off the Mets for a little bit. With Pete out of the fold, there's one last man standing as far as position players in the free agent pool, and that is our guy, Alex Bregman, who has deals out there ready for the taking, but he's looking to kind of really capitalize on his market. So I know right now, as we're recording this, the Astros have upped their offer to Bregman. I believe was at 6 years, 160 or 7 years, 160. They've upped it. We don't know exactly how much they've upped it, but he has a standing offer there. He's a standing offer from the Cubs, multiple deals over $100 million. I guess my question to you on Alex Bregman is, where do you think the best fit is? And then where do you think he actually ends up going?
The best fit has always been the Detroit Tigers for me. And I know that's what you want because that's what you predicted. And, I know you want that real bad. But I mean, I don't think it's going to happen still just because the Tigers, even with all these signings and Jack Flaherty recently, happy that he's going back too. But like, they haven't proven to me that they're willing to do that long-term deal yet. Like, I just think they're still scarred from previous encounters with that, with Jordan Zimmerman and the Miggy extension.
Jordan
And
Zimmerman. Wow.
yeah, I mean, you can go back the past 10 years and you can point at 4 or 5 different
Javi Baez.
Javi Baez is the easy one, but I mean, the Victor Martinez deal that they did after his MVP runner-up season, like they've done this kind of thing a lot in the past 10 years, and it basically put them in the hole that they were in the late 2010s when things got really bad. So I think they're probably more trusting of their young core, but I just think he would legitimize the team so much. He would show them what it takes to win in October. They would have a proven vet on the team. I think that he's through and through the best fit. I mean, right now their third baseman is Jace Young, and he showed some flashes, but Bregman is definitely an improvement on that. I do think he just still goes back to Houston, especially with them upping their offer, and it's always the one that's made sense in my brain. I don't think he really wants to leave either, if I had to guess, just in the way that like Pete Alonso didn't really want to leave deep down. I think Bregman probably wants to retire in Astro or at least play out his best years in Houston and try and win another championship. And if they're up in their offer, that means they're coming back to the table, and he's getting his way a little bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens.
See, there's every team that's kind of talking about bringing Bregman in. I feel like there is not a really perfect fit except for the Tigers. Even if you talk about the Astros bringing him back, they already went when there was rumors that he was going to go somewhere else. They right away, Christian Walker, Paredes comes there. If he was to go back to Houston, they're talking about moving Jose Altuve to left field. Like this stuff, that doesn't fit to me. It doesn't feel right. Can they make it work? Great. Sure. The Tigers have a clear opening. Yeah, you might have to kick Jace out of third base and figure something out from it. Cole Keith goes to first base. They got Glaber at second. Trey Sweeney at short. Like it solidifies their infield and gives them offense that they've desperately needed. The Cubs is an interesting one because they like Matt Shaw, and they've tried him at third base now. I think when he got drafted, he was more of a second baseman. So it's kind of an easy transition to go back to second base, although recently he has said he feels more comfortable at third base, given he's been doing it last year and the last couple of off seasons. But I think him switching back over to second base makes sense there. You had Dansby at short, and you'd have to move some things around. So the Cubs are a fit to me. Red Sox really don't seem like a fit, even though they can move things around. But Devers to first. What do you do with Meyer? What do you do with Costas? There's a lot of moving around that you'd have to do. So I think that it's really the Cubs and the Tigers that are the best fits. Where he goes, I know I picked the Tigers. I want him to go there because I think he would have the biggest impact on that team. But I think the Cubs might be willing to spend money. I really do. Like I go back and forth on this all the time. It's really hard for me to nail down a concrete answer. And Chris Rose, if he was here, would be like, you got to give an answer. I'm like, no, I don't, dude, because I don't know. It's free agency. Like anything can happen. So I'll say best fit Tigers. And I'll say I think he goes. I've been flip-flopping on this too. People are going to call me out for that. I think he goes to the Cubs. I think it makes sense. If he goes to the Cubs, their offseason goes from, second tier, like a high B to an A plus, probably.
Yeah, definitely.
So
also, Trev, when you talk about the same thing,
Astros, would that be 3 Astros going to the Cubs? Then?
Yeah, that would be the third one. That would be the whole recipe. Just get guys that have been winning championships. I was gonna say, I mean, when you talk about the same thing for 2 months straight, yeah, your opinion's gonna change back and forth all the time because, you've been circling around this forever.
Okay, people. It's okay to hear pertinent new information and change your mind. People need to hear that, Joe.
Yeah, I think Let's talk politics, Trev. Me and you, let's do it.
What we should talk about, Jolly, actually, is the DraftKings Sportsbook. Super Bowl 59 is right around the corner, and it's the perfect time to get in on the action with our partners at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, they're offering all new customers $200 in bonus bets instantly after betting just $5 when you use the code BASEBALL today. Scoring touchdowns is key to hoisting the Vince Lombardi Trophy. You know that better than anybody, Jolly. and you have a shot to score big by betting on them at DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code BASEBALL today. Bet just $5 on any wager and get 200 in bonus bets instantly. That's code BASEBALL today. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. How many touchdowns you score in your life?
Never. Not one.
Parents never played football.
Parents didn't let me play football.
Unbelievable. Mr. and Mrs. Olive, what are we doing?
That's why the brain's working so good these days, though, Trev. Come on.
I don't feel like you can't say that.
What do you mean?
Okay, let's get to a real let's get to a real division, Jolly. Let's get to the AL Central. The Twins have finally made some moves. For a while, I believe it was them and the Marlins were the only team that did not offer a major league contract to a player, but they have addressed a need in the bullpen. They signed lefty reliever Danny Colomé, as well as bringing in Harrison Bader, both on one-year deals. I'll get into my Twins rant. I'm very curious to see what you feel about this. If you're a Twins fan, should you expect to make the playoffs in 2025? Don't do that.
It's not because it's interesting. Because how many we had 3 AL Central teams make it last year?
We did.
I think the Twins still a winning team. I think
they were over 500, but I think they won 83 games last year.
So here's where I'm at. If the White Sox are bad again, which all signs point to them being relatively the same team, like I'm saying, bad to the extent that they were bad.
They're going to be bad. They're not going to be
bad.
Win 41 games bad, but I think
that's what we're talking
win
about.
52 games bad.
If the White Sox go out there and lose 110 games and they got to play 50% of their games against the AL Central, then yes, the Twins have a leg up versus a lot of other teams. And actually, Pagoda projections, which I don't usually care about, but they are fun to look at when it's February and there's no baseball on. They got the Twins winning the Central. They got the Twins bouncing back. Hopefully everyone stays healthy, and they got them winning the Central. And like the talent is obviously still there. It's just a team full of stars who get injured more than you want them to, with Royce Lewis, Carlos Correa, Byron Buxton. So I like the Bader signing because it's going to get Buxton off his feet a little bit. I'm into that. But the questions still remain with the other two. Can you get a full season out of both of them? I think if you do, then yeah, you can absolutely bank on the Twins being very competitive in the AL Central because the back end of the bullpen is there, the front end of the starting rotation is there, and the top of the lineup is all there. So, I mean, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, but there are some ifs.
I don't want people to think that I'm biased here. I don't, okay? Because I have sat in the booth of the Minnesota Twins, and I have said some things about the Twins that aren't great, and people in Minnesota love me for that. But I try to be very objective when I talk about the Twins. Now, I'm always optimistic about health. That's one thing that I do, no matter what the team is. I do not like to project bad health on people. That's just something I've never done. I look at rosters, especially in the preseason, and say, let's take this as people are going to be healthy. I think that's what you have to do.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe some people disagree with that. This roster is the best roster in the AL Central. I don't think there's any doubt about it, Jolly. I really don't. As far as a full roster, they don't have glaring holes like most of the teams in the AL Central do. I think if you went to Kansas City, I think you could say like the back half of their lineup is pretty weak. Now, their starting pitching is good. Is it going to continue to be as good as it was last year? Probably not. I'd expect some regression to the mean, but still, it'll be a strong point for them. They've added to the bullpen, which I'm happy for them. But I still think the lineup depth there is a problem. We can go on and on. The Twins, like you said, if they stay healthy, I mean, they have Matt Wallner. Go check his stats out. We just talked about him.
Yeah, that really – we were doing this the other day on Wake and Jake. Crazy.
Give him a full run. Let him just be himself. The guy can be an elite hitter in the big leagues, okay? He swings and misses a lot. It's okay. Obviously, we know what Byron Buxton can bring. I mean, the infield, I really, really like this infield. We're talking about, they're trying to move Royce Lewis to second base. So Brooks Lee, who I think is going to be a very good player, is going to be at third base. I liken him to a Mark Vientos.
Ooh,
not a swag. Definitely not as swaggy as Mark. Like way more like just baseball rat. like, hey, my dad was like my coach kind of kid. She had flashes last year where he struggled, had flashes last year where he was good. But I think when I watch him, I really like what I see. So I think he's going to be good. Carlos Correa, I mean, like the whole thing is there. Back end of the bullpen is one of the strongest, I think, in the big leagues. If you really break it down, and Duran and Jax, and when Brock Stewart comes back, the pitching staff is a bunch of good pitchers. I don't think there's anybody elite in the pitching staff, but there's depth there. There's experience. There's youth. So they kind of have it all. I guess so. I need to answer the question: should you expect a playoff team? I don't know.
Nice.
I mean, Chris would hate that, but like, if everything goes right, yes.
Here's what I'll give you. Here's what I'll give you.
Let me finish, Jolly. I'm not done yet.
Okay.
If there is some injuries, I do not trust the front office and ownership right now to go out and make the necessary deals at the trade deadline to bolster the depth chart if there is. Like that's the truth. The only place that they could kind of get hurt and get away with it is the outfield, because they got a couple guys coming up that are supposed to be really good. Emmanuel Rivera is really close, and they just have depth there. Anywhere else, I just don't trust the front office to go and go after guys, because I don't think they have the payroll flexibility to do that. So that's where I give the caveat, Jolly.
I think that's a good point to make. Of like, if things go off the rails, there is no remedy.
It didn't do it last year.
Internally,
they got hurt last year and didn't do it.
There's no reason to suspect it would change this year. What I was gonna say was, you were doing like sections of the roster in the AL Central. It's funny. I think I would give bullpen to like the Guardians or the Tigers. I think I would give rotation to the Royals, but roster as a whole, I think I would give to the Twins. Of like, they don't have as many holes. They don't have like the Tigers. When you think of them, they're a pitching team and their lineup is a little weak. Kind of the similar thing with Guardians. They play great defense. They have good bullpen, but their lineup gets a little thin after the top half. With the Twins, there's talent in every corner of the roster, even with the rotation of like full of good, not great. That's honestly a good thing for the stretch of 162. So yeah, if they can just stay healthy. But I mean, it's a conversation with every single team in baseball, and I think it's a good thing to not try and be like, well, Royce Lewis, we should feel like he's expected to get injured, because if he doesn't, he's going to put up an MVP caliber season, because that's the kind of player he's capable of being. But I think the point that you made is the biggest point of all, of like, if the Tigers get hurt or the Guardians get hurt, that front office is probably going to do something to help remedy the situation. If the Twins get hurt, it just is what it is.
I think I trust I don't know if I trust really any of those front offices to go really make a splash. I don't know if I trust the Guardians to go out there and make a splash.
I think the Tigers will be active.
The Tigers maybe. I would say the Royals, yes. I would give the Royals that. They've shown the want to go and improve the roster on a consistent basis. So I would say them. But yeah, all in all, like the AL Central is typically quiet along the trade deadline, and that doesn't bode well. I mean, like the Twins, as you mentioned, yeah, you can talk about the health. If the health isn't there, I don't think that they'd be pressed into making any significant moves, even though I think they can. They have the prospects and the amount of like outfielders to do it. They just haven't done it yet. I've been clamoring, like, make some significant trades with these prospects, but that's me. That's not the front office. Let's get out of there. Let's move on to something different. We got a couple one-year deals that just came up. The Pirates signed Tommy Pham to a $4.25 million deal. It's a one-year deal. And the Angels, pretty active this offseason, have signed Yoel Moncada to a one-year $5 million deal. Couple different questions for you. Number one, which move piques your interest more? And then number two, I think more importantly, let's give a letter grade for each of those teams offseason. That's Pittsburgh and the Angels.
Two good questions there. I think the Moncada move is pretty interesting to me. The Angels have finally figured out that in year 5 of the Rendon contract, that they need a backup third baseman, because he's going to go down at some point.
Or a third baseman.
Or just someone to take over. And that is Moncada. I like his upside. We've seen what he can do in recent years. Switch hitter, plays the position well. For $5 million, betting on that bounce back, I think that's pretty good value. So as long as he just stays healthy, you probably get league average offense and maybe a 2-WAR season. I like that a lot for the Angels. I thought more teams would jump on that, if I'm being honest. I had him going to the Athletics because they were spending money. The other side of this is the Tommy Pham signing, and it's just every day that passes, I just get more and more mad at the Pirates front office to the point where it's just become like I've just given up any hope of anyone ever going there because this front office is in, I think, year 6 of this regime. Ben Cherington coming over from the Red Sox, I think he's in year 6, and he has not made a significant offseason move in his entire tenure here. I think the one you can point to is the Reynolds extension, which they had to, grind down Reynolds to his absolute lowest possible ask for him to take it. And he honestly took it at, I think, the love in his heart for Pittsburgh and their fans. But for this amount of talent to be supplemented by absolutely nothing year in and year out is so frustrating. Just an endless gauntlet of 1 year near league minimum deals and trades for guys who have had flashes of good play and that just whittle back down to league average numbers. It's frustrating, and it makes me mad every time the Pirates do something because you see their team name and then you see the name of the person they brought in and you just get bummed out. So I like it for the Angels. I'd shrug my shoulders for the Pirates.
Save your letter, Greg, because we'll do it kind of at the same time.
Sure.
I think the Moncada deal also intrigues me a little bit more. You gave the right answer. Like, we need somebody to play third base. So I believe they've come out and said that Rendon is not going to get an everyday role there, which is crazy to me.
Crazy to think about.
But look, he hasn't played, and he hasn't shown like any vigor and want to play, right? Like, just hasn't really been there. It is what it is, man. He's his own person. Do I enjoy that? No, but what are we gonna do? You got to move on. Moncada offers. I think, you mentioned some upside. It's not gonna change the season outlook for them necessarily. But we've seen guys. We said that about Profar. We said it about Iglesias, and they have changed a couple of different franchises' fortunes over the last couple of years. So maybe he offers that. But as far as letter grades for the offseason, I'll give the Angels a C. I mean, they've brought dudes in. They've made moves, Jolly. But I just don't believe that there is a direction that they're going. Like, and that's my problem. Like, I almost would rather. Here's another Chris Rose question. Would you rather be a Marlins fan or an Angels fan?
Oh, God.
Right? Like, the Marlins are rebuilding. You know what's going on. They're trading off all their assets. They're going for it. The Angels probably should be rebuilding, but they're not. They're trying to be competitive. So they signed Kikuchi, who's going to headline their staff. Soler, I like the signing. Like, obviously brings power to the lineup. They need as many bats as possible. So I dig that. d'Arnaud, I think, is maybe one of the best signings of the entire offseason. He goes to the Angels. I think anybody would have liked to have Travis d'Arnaud. So they've made some signings that like contending teams would make, but they're not a contending team. So it just gets a little confusing for me. So C for them. Pirates, you get an F.
Yeah.
I can't love McCutchen. It's one of my oldest friends in baseball. I think the world of this guy. I think that's so. I'd give him a lower grade than an F if he wasn't there. But to have what they have in that rotation and just not surround them with offense, it's baffling to me. It's baffling to me, especially in that city with those fans, like that you're not doing anything. I just don't get it. So I give C Angels, F for the Pirates.
I'll start with the Angels. I mean, the rebuild for them should have started at the 2023 deadline. Last year of Ohtani, they were, I think a round of 500 team, and you can spin it one way of like you should want ownership to buy in and try and compete, and that's exactly what they did. It just blew up in their face dramatically, which is a shame for Angels fans. It really is a shame. Like when they brought in Giolito and all those guys, like it felt kind of special that first week, and then it just did not work at all, and they had to cut their losses. If they had sold at that deadline, I think they're in a much better position than they are now. So to your point, like at this point, it's too late to sell. Like they already missed their window to get the absolute most out of it. So I guess if you're already Moreno, you might as well just dump more money into the pit and see what you can get. And some of the talent they brought in is good. Like Soler has been a World Series champion. d'Arnaud has been a World Series champion. Like these are proven vets. So we'll see. For them, I'll give them a B minus, honestly, for just like doing more than half the league essentially in free agency, even if the moves aren't going to end up being that impactful. Pirates, I'm going to give a did not complete. I'm not even going to give them a grade because they did not. They didn't do their offseason. They didn't do the right thing. They didn't try and extend schemes. Even like, it's a perfectly symbolic figure of their offseason. They signed Tommy Pham the same day that the Diamondbacks signed Randall Grichuk for around the same money. Grichuk had a great year last year. Grichuk has a tool. He can mash against lefties. He's a better defensive outfielder than Pham. And the Diamondbacks brought him back on their team for a relatively the same deal. And I saw Pirates fans on social media going, how could we not be in on this guy? How could we not get this guy? For Randall Grichuk, who is a good ball player, but not a marquee free agent. You know what I mean? I wouldn't even say he's like a top 25 free agent. So when you have Pirates fans that are devastated that their front office didn't even go after a top 20, top 30 free agent, and they're settling for even less than that, then it's not even worth talking about them. It's not even worth watching the product on the field, because no matter what, all this great talent that they brought in and have developed is going to go to waste because they cannot properly supplement that talent at all, aside from bringing back Kutch every year on a 1-year deal. So they get a do not complete.
Did not complete.
Did not complete.
You talked about supplementing rosters. I got something that you need to supplement your meal plan with. I'm talking about Factor. Are you ready to optimize your nutrition this year? Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They're dietitian approved, ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes, so you can feel right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active lifestyle. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week, it's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. Choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, that's what I do, or Keto. Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfast, grab-and-go, snacks, and more add-ons. I have Factor. I do enjoy it myself. I love the smoothies, the juices. Like, they just have everything that you need to dial in your fitness, which I'm all about, Jolly. Reach your goals this year with ingredients you can trust and convenience that can't be beat. Eat smart with Factor, and get started at factormeals.com/today50off. factormeals.com/today50off, and use code today50off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code today50off at factormeals.com/today50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Everyone needs to eat a little better. Let's be honest. Go get Factor. And as, Jolly, we like to do here on this show, we like to end with something a little bit more light and fun. We just went through the Angels and the Pirates offseason. That was scary. Let's bring it back fun for the people. Recently, there was a picture released of the spring training hats. And spring training hats, let me tell you something. They're always just... I hate spring training hats. That is the truth. There was a couple years, man. I've gone through the gamut as a player with them. Why not just wear regular hats? I don't know. Worst ones were like the real flex fit, like not a true fitted hat. It was like small, medium, large, extra large, really curved bill. Worst. That was for a couple years. I wanted to throw that thing in the freaking garbage when I got it. I'm saying, this is the big leagues and we're wearing a dad hat out there. What are we doing, people? Didn't like that at all. The perforated backs, that was my favorite because it was still a regular fitting hat in the front, but it had like some airflow in the back. Problem was, there's a bunch of bald dudes that were getting bad tan lines from that. so I think they banged it. Now these are the spring training hats are a different material, so it's like, more breathable because I guess it's hot. I don't know. Here they are in all of their glory. I'm asking you to pick your favorite and your least favorite. Why don't you go least favorite? I'll go least favorite, and then we'll end on a high note with our favorite.
I like that. I see a lot of repeats from last year, which sucks.
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys. Have some creative freedom here. Least favorite, I think I'm going Brewers here because it's just a yellow cap and their logo.
It's a classic logo. It's like the nicest logo in sports.
Yeah, but I look at some of the other logos we have here. We got some secondary logos. We have some fun going on, and like the Brewers kind of let me down a little bit. I mean, you can say the same for Angels. It's just a red hat. Guardians, Reds. So, I mean, any of those that are just primary color, primary logo.
I'm with you. My least favorite are the Angels, the Reds, and the Twins.
Oh, really? I don't mind the
nothing,
Twins one.
There's nothing special. I don't love the new M for the Twins. I know I'm supposed to be a spokesperson for the organization. Don't love it. And it just kind of doesn't seem like I'd rather them go out on a limb and do something crazy. Like the Diamondbacks hat. Do I really like that? No, but I appreciate
It's something,
the fact that they tried something different.
Yeah.
The ones that just kind of look like regular caps, I'm like, come on, guys. Like, do something different. So truly the A's, the Reds, and the Twins to me just seem like, I'm kind of over it. So that's my least favorite. Why don't we get to our favorites now, Charlie?
I mean, Trev, one of these hats is just oozing personality.
Oh, God.
One of these hats is just I'm looking at this board of 30, and one of it is oozing.
I should have not asked
personality.
This question.
It's the Mets hat. I mean, it's the only one with like a team mascot on it. He's got
Pete Alonso's on. He is on the hat.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's got shades on. And it's orange. It looks like a spring training hat. You know what I mean? Like none of these really look like spring training hats, aside from like the Tigers. I like a little bit. The only one that truly looks and gets you excited for spring training, in my opinion, is the Mets one. And yes, I'm biased. Absolutely. Okay. Wow.
No one cares about the Yankee pinstripe hat. That's Dan in my ear.
Trev, don't you know that people want to sign with the Yankees for the pinstripes?
Everybody. Nobody does anymore, actually. Okay, for my favorite, Jolly, I feel like I could go a bunch of ways. My favorite that I would actually wear, because most of these I would not wear because they were just silly colors. I think the Nationals I would actually wear. And what's up with that? Is that a black hat?
Yeah, I think it's a black hat with a blue logo.
Since when do they have black in their logo in like their colors?
They're trying something. I like it. I thought you were going to go Phillies here, honestly.
I'm not a red guy. Red and me like don't really work. I do like the Bell logo. Yeah. But all in all, I will say my favorite on this is the Orioles hat. I've always just liked their colors. I like the black and orange. I like the O's, like that logo. Yeah. Go back to my least favorite because I could talk about this all day.
Sure.
The Dodgers D, never been a fan of that. Never been a fan of that. Just
that's like the Brooklyn retro style, I guess.
It's been around. I just for some reason I've just never been a fan of it. So I'll go Washington just because I don't even know what the heck it is, but I would wear it like outside.
Yeah.
And then the Orioles for my favorite.
You know, the Orioles, they're bringing back their all orange uniform this year. I think with that hat. So keep your eye out for that.
Bring JJ Hardy back to that team too.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
Well, Jolie, that was fun. I appreciate you filling in, man. Like I said, you're always available, and honestly, you should come on more often.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Chris Rose, get out of here, bro. Like you're getting old. Take a day off. Yeah, like
get the beach out.
Everybody needs a day off every once in a while. See, Rosie.
Have some factor so he feels better.
That's it, guys. We'll see you next week. Another show. I believe we're going on Tuesday. Chris Rose should be back. Super Bowl's over, so his attention will fully be on baseball and baseball today. So, for the slick back having, chain wearing, regular headphones in the ears popping, Jolly Olive, and super producer Dan Rourke, I am Trevor Plouffe. We'll see you next time on Baseball Today.